Going live. What's up, guys? Yo, what's up? Roller, what's up? Erica, hello. Lopez, what's going on? Love your videos, dope. Thank you, I appreciate it. How old was I when I got into real estate? I think I was only 29 or 30. Let's get some questions going. See if I can help you guys out, answer some questions. Today's Saturday out here in Las Vegas. It is about 4:46. Damn, all these questions flooding in. That's pretty cool. How was my holidays? My holiday was great. Had a great Christmas. Spent time with the family. How do you look at the California market? Unfortunately, California is not my market, so I would not know the market in California. What's the rental market out there? Right now it's about 40% of the market are rental markets. Your average is about almost $1,600 a month, and it is also higher depending on the location. Oh, look at my hairdo right now. I'm gonna flip this back around like this. Is it a seller's market now? Yes, it is still a seller's market right now. We've gone up 5% since the beginning of this year. What do you think about hold selling in Las Vegas? You mean buy and hold? Well, normally people that do the buy and holds are investors that do cash flow. Their intentions are never to sell the property. Yeah, I can't believe how many comments are coming out here pretty quick. What do you think about Tully Springs? I think for the price for Tully Springs, I think it's worth it. I'm doing a deal out there right now with Richmond American Homes. It just boils down to the location and also the amenities of what you are looking for. How easy would it be for an 18-year-old to get a loan on a home? 1 million to 1.5 million. What is this here? All right, so when it comes to financing on a home loan, a couple things. Number one, they take a look at your credit. Your credit is going to dictate what your interest rate is at that time. So it's based upon tier brackets. So let me give you an example. If you're 650 to 700, you're going to be in one category, one tier bracket, and this is what interest rate you'll get. The second thing they're going to take a look at is your debt to income ratio. Now, what debt to income ratio is, it's about how much money you make every single month, how much is going out, and there's a ratio. So based upon that ratio, some lenders may take you up to 38%, some may take you up to 40%, depending on the type of loan and also how much you put down as well. Now, if you're looking to purchase about $1 million home, you're probably going to have to make at least $10,000 a month. When you buy a new home, how soon do you go to the design studio? That is a very good question. Normally the contract says about 21 days. Now, it depends how backed up the builder is. You know, once you go to the design studio and you set up your appointment, normally it takes about 2 days, depending on the builder too as well. If it is more of a custom home builder, you may take 3 to 4 days picking your design. What are the goals for 2020 on home selling? Oh, that's actually a good question. Goals is to make over $1 million next year with all the investment properties we have and all the other type of businesses we have. Oh man, this thing is going so fast up, I can't even keep up. Hold on. How does a VA loan works out here in Las Vegas? I'm gonna tell you, if you're a veteran, VA loans are like number one, the best loans to get out right now because the interest rates are very low and there's no mortgage insurance premium. A lot of agents don't know how to do VA loans. They get a little scared about the guidelines, but VA loans are like the best deals to do. It's so easy. Well, what is a good idea price for a home with two income households totaling 125,000 a year? Um, that's also a good question. Now, when it comes to what home you should buy and what price point, it really comes down to you at a personal level. You need to take a look at your financing. So there's not really a set percentage of what you make. You know, it really depends on you. So it really comes down to what your comfort level is. So the first thing I would do is take a look at if you're currently renting a home, what is your current rent, and are you comfortable with that current rent? Um, you know, if you can go more money on your current rent, let's just say, you know, you can do $2,000 a month, then at that point, what you want to do is speak to a lender and ask that lender, if I'm looking to have a mortgage at $2,000 a month and I want you to run the numbers, including principal, point, that lender should be able to tell you exactly what your purchasing power based upon your debt to income ratio and also based upon your credit score and the type of program that you have. Then from there, once you get your purchasing power, you have an idea. Let's just say you're at $2,000 a month and that's your comfort level, and your total purchasing power is at 200,000. So then the next step you would do is go out and take a look online at 200,000 and take a look at, are these homes that you are looking at, are they in the desirable location that you're looking for? Do they meet and meet all your needs as far as 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 car garage, whatever it is? And at that point, then you make the educated decision, and that's the best way to go about it. So let me give you an idea. I live in a home that's less than 1,700 square feet, 4 bedrooms with a loft, and my payments are only, $930 a month. Now, I've been living there for some time now, and, my lender will always contact me every once in a while and ask me, hey, why don't you buy a $3 million home? Yes, I can afford $3 million home. However, I don't want to be house broke. It's how do you utilize that money and what you do with that money. Okay, because keep this in mind, no matter if you um, have a mortgage on a home, you're still a renter, believe it or not, because if you don't pay the bank, then the bank is going to foreclose on your home. I mean, you're on title, right? You're on the deed. However, at the end of the day, the bank really owns the property. You don't own the property. And once the home is paid for, the state owns the property, because if you don't pay the property taxes, then they'll still foreclose on you. So for me, the best thing to do with my situation is I buy investment properties. I have those investment properties to pay for my mortgage. Okay, let's see what else we have here as far as questions. Unfortunately, I don't have a tripod today. I'm just holding this phone pretty much up like this. My arm is kind of getting sore, so if the video is kind of jittery, I do apologize. Wow, I can't believe I have all these questions on here. This is actually kind of cool. I do appreciate all the love and support out there, guys. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a good question here. Can you talk about real estate taxes in Nevada, SIDS and LIDs? I believe that's what they're called, I guess. Okay, so let's talk about property taxes. Uh, Property taxes is going to be broken down to city, the district, and also what township you are in. Now, when it comes to property taxes, normally this is how it's calculated. If you purchase a brand new home, the total price is going to be 1% of the total price. That's what your property taxes will be. However, if you buy a resale home, I believe the property taxes is about 0.98%. Now, property taxes can be raised up to 3% every single year on a primary residence. On an investment property, it could be raised up to 8%. However, according to the Department of Housing, they will send you out a letter, And if you are renting out a property, if you are below the rental costs in those areas, then they won't tax you up to that 8%. They'll only tax you up to 3%. However, property taxes, just because the cap is at 3%, it doesn't mean they're going to raise it at 3%. Last year, they only raised it about 2.7% in certain areas. So just keep that in mind. Now, also, the property taxes will be adjusted if the market did tank. Then the property taxes will be readjusted. Also, that follows up into insurance real quick. So let's just say if you buy a home for $3 million, because of the cost of the build and all the options and all the items is at $3 million. Now you're paying insurance on a $3 million home. If the market tanks down to $1 million, obviously all materials and supplies will drop too. Reevaluate the situation and make sure that your home is only insured for $1 million. And the reason why is so that way your insurance on that $3 million home will be cheaper. Now, let's say if you bought the home for $1 million, but home pricing gone up to about $3 million, and that's what your home is currently worth. At that time, materials and stuff like that would cost you more money. You probably want to reevaluate your insurance and probably raise it more because you don't want to be underinsured too as well. So make sure to play that game. Now, when it comes to SIDS and LIDs, which is Special Improvement District and Local Improvement District, what these are voluntary liens that are put in place by the builder. And what happens is when a developer comes in and buys 100 acres, what happens is the city now will create a bond because somebody has to come in, put in sidewalks, roadways, gutters, and all that stuff. So at that point, these bonds are created. Some builders will go ahead and pay for it up front. Then what they'll do is they'll just charge you a higher price on the base price. But now what's happening with these SIDS and LIDs, according to the assessments, the third-party agency that collects all the fees, if you pay all this up front, then what they'll do is actually charge you a premium now, or prepayment penalty. So that's kind of a bummer. Now also, if you did purchase a property that had SIDS and LIDs, and let's just say your balance would be due in the next 30 years, you only live in that property for 5 years, then at that point what you would do is when you sell that home, you would just transfer that over to the next buyer. But also you have to watch out because some buyers may request you to pay for it off at the end of closing. So that's something that you're going to have to negotiate. What is the max of the VA loan? I think it's 480 something and change. However, the first of the year, those guidelines will change. Also on FHA too as well. That would be based upon which county you live in. The stream is cutting out. I do apologize for that. Maybe the internet's not good here. The weather's not good. Actually, it snowed the other day. It was pretty nice out here. Give a shout out to Arizona. Michael, I do appreciate it. Long-time subscriber. Let's see what we have here. When do you anticipate the price tanking? Party just raises the price for the 3 models at Terra Luna. So, when do I anticipate the price to drop or the market to tank? The problem is that I don't have a crystal ball, but it goes beyond the Las Vegas market. One of the things that I look at the indicators is I look at what's going on in the world as far as politics. You know, obviously it starts off with the president too as well. I take a look at the Feds, the IMF, and I see exactly what's going on with the dollar exchange and, you know, what our bonds are selling for. So all these play a part. Take a look at the dollar index. But when it comes to real estate, believe it or not, it's a local thing. It's not a nation thing. So you can't combine it all together. Now, once I break it down to once I break it down to a local market as far as Las Vegas, our primary sector is casino and hospitality and entertainment. So what I take a look at is the Las Vegas Visitors Authority. I take a look at how much people are coming out here every single month to gamble. So right now we have about 42 million people visiting Las Vegas every single year. So that's about 3 million a month. So when those numbers start to decline, then that will tell me that there's something that's really going on with the market, because you have to understand nationally and let's just say nationally something is going on to the point where the market is about to collapse, and people are starting to restrict, and they don't want to come out here and spend money because this is our primary sector. People only come out here to spend that extra money that they currently have, right? Now, once those numbers starts to decline, that tells me something is going on. But as far as right now, the market is pretty good. It's stabilized at 5%. An average market, according to CoreLogic, they say it's at 3%. So I think we really have a healthy market. Believe it or not, we haven't sold as much homes. However, home pricing have gone up. We're about 310 right now on the medium price point. The average right now is about 366,000 at this time. All right, let's get into another question here. How is the real estate market now for real estate agent? Is it slowing down? You know what? During this time of month, a lot of agents start to like take vacations, and I take vacations too as well. As far as slowing down, it hasn't really slowed down for me. I'm very blessed. I've been doing this now for about going on 10 years, I believe. 9 or 10 years. I don't even remember, but I do have a book of business. I do have other businesses that keep me afloat too as well. I do have investment properties. But if you're asking me as far as the real estate market, selling real estate, I have a team of 6 agents, and we are just crushing it right now. And one of the parts is because of you guys out there that really tune into the show, and all the people that call in and want to use our services. So I do appreciate that a lot. I really, really do. Are there any incentives for first-time home buyers? Yes, there are a lot of incentives with first-time home buyers. You got the 3%, you got the 5% conventional, and also if you meet the guidelines, they'll actually pay for your down payment. Also, if you can ask for closing costs from the seller and negotiate closing costs, you have a strong agent, you should be able to walk out of the deal less than $1,000, depending on the type of home that you bought. There were some cases a few years ago where we literally got money back at the closing table. Literally walked in with $0. So can it happen? Yes, it can happen. But all the moon and the stars do have to line up. Now, I'm doing a deal right now that we're about to close on Monday. And we have a client doesn't have that much money. They are barely scraping by, but we were able to negotiate a deal. And believe it or not, they were working with another agent. They submitted an offer on a home. They couldn't get that deal done. They found us through social media. Then at that point, I was able to go back into that same home, renegotiate the deal, got them $16,500 towards closing costs. So basically, their closing costs was completely paid for, and also their down payment, believe it or not. But it just comes down to how you work the numbers, and if you have a strong agent, you can definitely get deals done. And that's where, a lot of people think they can go out and buy a home or use any agent. You can definitely use any agent, but you really need to have an agent that really understands title and escrow fees and all the bogus bullshit fees that are out there, and you want to understand what's going on. A lot of these agents out here, I mean, we have over about 19,000 agents. They don't understand the loan processing part. They don't understand all the fees. They don't understand all the home inspections. They don't understand title and escrows. I mean, the good news is that I've been doing this long enough where I'm able to analyze and see exactly what's going on, what are customary practices, and what fees are, how the process works from one department from another department. So, that comes with experience. What are the most affordable two-bedroom condos? Right now, I'm actually looking at an investment property on a condo on the strip for $150,000. So going back, so I'm looking at an investment property on a two-bedroom condo for $150,000 right now. But I just haven't had a chance to pull the trigger. I'm still getting calls coming in. What's going on here? Very hard to find a brand new home with a backyard. Now, as far as like the backyard, really depends on how big of a backyard you are looking for. You have to understand that Las Vegas is not about having a 1 acre backyard. Las Vegas, you have to take a look at the lifestyle out here. It's all about convenience. Okay? It's about, easy maintenance. I mean, you'll have homes that are $3-4 million, and The lot size is like less than a quarter of an acre. So it's not about big backyards. But now, there are some areas in Las Vegas. If you're looking for 2 acres, they got it. But you're going to have to pay the premium. But it may not be in the location that you want. So keep that in mind. Somebody just said 510,000 for a VA loan for almost all countries, 2020. You mean throughout the nation? No, that's not necessarily true. It depends through what county. However, you can actually go higher, but you have to be VA eligible. So keep that in mind. I've done a VA deal, 1.2 million. I'm having a trouble deciding between Mesa Ridge and Summerlin versus Henderson. My budget is 1.7 million. Now here's the thing. This is what you have to look at. When you're purchasing a home about 1.7 million, you're doing the right thing by looking at all the locations. What I would do is jump on the MLS or get with your realtor and have them set up a barometer, or actually set up a search throughout the whole Las Vegas Valley. And at 1.7 million, you want to see exactly what you can get at 1.7 million, because at that price point, not everybody can afford a home like that, right? So you want to make sure you're buying a very good investment property, because when it comes time to liquidate it, or if you're trying to make a gain when you sell it, you want to make sure you're getting it at the right price. That's a whole nother category versus buying a home like that at, 315,000. Give me a second here. Do you have a job other than real estate? No, I don't have another job other than real estate. I do this 7 days a week nonstop. However, I do have other businesses as well and other streams of income as well, but they are all a part of real estate some way, somehow. Can you talk about the Airbnb investment opportunities in Lake Las Vegas that you did? Yeah, uh, Airbnb is such a touchy subject, and the reason why is because there's so many guidelines with Airbnb, and it's like so new out here. Not only that, there's so many regulations that changes on a consistent basis where, you can get into Airbnb, but then next thing you know it, you can actually get fined through the city. I don't really get into the Airbnb, and I don't advise that it's the best investment deal. However, the things that you have to take a look about Airbnb is that, you're buying as an investment property, but however, if you don't have multiple Airbnbs and you're just turning your beds yourself and you're doing everything yourself, now it just becomes another job. So if you're only making like $2,000 a month just on the Airbnb, the question is that something that you want to do? I mean, if you're already working, you're already making $5,000 a month, but you are creating an Airbnb, but then you got to go out there every single day to clean and vacuum and do all that stuff yourself, then it's probably not worth it. However, for me, if I was going to do something like that, I would want to have like 10 Airbnbs and also hire a management company. In addition to that, hire, like the cleaning ladies or the cleaning companies to come out and, to clean. So that way you don't have to, touch it. And that's where it comes down to when you buy an investment property. That's why I do like the multifamilies and the single family residence, because you get paid every single month and you don't have to do nothing. And normally on my contracts with the rental properties, we do have an agreement that the tenant has to fix everything at my approval. Do you work with VA loans all day long? VA loans are great. Doesn't matter which type of loan you have, I can help you purchase a home. I have access to all the homes, bank-owned properties, short sale properties. I've done short sales, hundreds of short sales, negotiated hundreds of short sales, dealt with the bank. One of my first investment properties was a bank-owned property, dealt directly with the banks too as well. That's up my alley. As far as like buying properties at the auctions, I've done that too as well. I've done rehab homes. There's not a transaction that I can't do. I make about $6,000 a month on my condo Airbnb. Hey, you know what? If you're making $6,000, kudos to you. If that's what you're walking away with, that's great. And if that's your only line of business and that's what you do, can't knock that, man. And again, that's where I always say it really just comes down to your situation and what works for you and your life. Let's see here. Now, what I'm planning to do is, well, I also been looking at a property or condo at the Palms place, and there are some Airbnbs there. However, I wasn't going to do an Airbnb. What they have there is a co-op, and what that is you buy a piece of paper, which is you buy that unit, that space. And I was going to have a third-party company that manages it like a hotel, and the numbers are just not working out. I mean, you're only making about a 2% return, which is, I can utilize my money elsewhere, but I think when the market tanks, or hopefully it tanks, or if I can find the right deal, I'm definitely going to get a spot up there. And when it comes to real estate, there's really no right answers. And this is what I always try to tell people. You have to take a look at your situation, your financial situation, take a look at your portfolio, take a look at what you are planning on doing, because what works for you may not work for me. So there's no right answer. You just have to analyze the situation. Can you help somebody get into a position to buy a home for the first time? Yeah, of course I can. I mean, that's easy. When you're a first time home buyer, those are the ones that I love to work with, because you have the trust and the faith in me, and I love to educate people on how things work from the financing side, right? From all the people that are involved, how a real estate transaction works. That's fun to me. Henderson or South Summerlin, there's really not a preference. For me, I don't live in Henderson or Summerlin. Again, that's where it comes down to, your situation. Like me, I live off of Las Vegas Boulevard, less than like 25 yards. And the reason why I live there is because I'm not a suburb kind of guy. Where I live is a gated community with a bunch of entrepreneurs. Yeah, Vanguard gets 4%. I would definitely jump on that. However, I'm not playing the stock market. If I'm going to invest, I'm going to invest in myself and spend my own money, because if I lose, it's because I lost. Soon as the price drops, everyone is going to buy. I hope so, because let me tell you, I remember in 2008 and 2009 when the market just plummeted, Las Vegas had over 18,000 properties. Now, during that time period, I was telling a lot of people, buy. Now's a good time to buy. Buy, buy, buy. A lot of people wouldn't buy. You know why? Because a lot of people are afraid. And that's the truth. When the market tanks, it's weird. Like, people don't buy because they're just afraid. But people start to buy when the market goes up. And that's what I've learned about real estate. The psychological part of it is just crazy. Is there a lot of bug issues in homes in Las Vegas? That's actually a really good question. I don't see any bugs. It just really depends where you live. I had an ant problem once, but what I did was I hired a company to come out and spray. So they will come out every 3 months. It only charges me about $35, so it's worth it. But now I have a person that lives on the outskirts of Las Vegas, right? And in her backyard, she had a little baby rattlesnake. And there's sometimes, clients will have, not clients, but people will have scorpions. But also, depending on where you live, where the location is at as well. The other thing is what type of vegetation that you have, right? So make sure, if you do your landscaping, talk to your landscaper to make sure that the type of plants you have won't attract those type of insects, pests, and all that stuff like that. Oh, it was brutal in 2008 in California. Yeah, I bet it was. Trust me, it was kind of crazy out here. And that's when I was actually starting my career, when the market tanked. When I was going in, everybody was going out. And a lot of people are like, asked me, dude, are you crazy, dude? Do you know what you're doing? I was young at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew that I wanted to do is get into real estate because I knew that real estate was the key to financial wealth. And it really is. Now, when I say financial wealth, you know, again, it really depends on what wealth is to you. Some people just need $5,000 a month where it just pays for, you know, their carrying costs and they're happy with that. But it's nice to be financially free. And it's not hard. Well, you know what? Let me retract. It is a little bit hard as far as to put in the work, but then when you look back, you actually appreciate all those accomplishments that you made. But now it's like once you pass that, you realize, I could do this. You know what? I can make $100,000, a year. I can make 200,000. I can make a half a million. I can make $1 million a year. I mean, these things are possible. You just got to go out and you just got to do it. But it's hard work. We talked about that. Property taxes, again, it's 1% of the sales price. Resales are a lot cheaper. Fun handling keys to people. Yes, it is fun. Giving them the keys. I used to do a lot of video testimonials, but sometimes people don't want to do testimonial videos, and I can respect that. But yes, it's always nice to, when we close out the deal, and at the end of the day, when they appreciate you and they tell you thank you so much, and they realize how hard work it is. Because a lot of people think, hey, you know what? I just buy a home and that's it. There's so much more to it than just buying a home. And people don't realize it until they're actually under contract and all the BS that they got to deal with when they got to deal with the seller or the builder. And they realize, like, this is a lot of work. If you want to have a custom built, does the price of the land a part of the amount to prove for? Okay, so this is how it works. Kind of give you a quick breakdown. I should probably do a video on this. So when you go out and purchase a home, the first thing that you're going to take a look at is which model you like. So you take a look at the base price. Now, once you have the base price, the next step you're going to do is take a look at which lot could that home fit on, which lots are available. Also, if you want to see if the home is actually in reverse, because sometimes you may not like the reverse plan. Also, the next thing you need to take a look at is that the lot that you like, what is the lot premium? Sometimes they will charge you a lot premium. So now you have the base price, the lot premium. Then from the lot premium, the next thing you take a look is the elevation. What is the elevation? The front of the home, okay? You may have 4 different exteriors that you can pick and choose from. However, if you are within an HOA community, you may be limited to which elevation that you can pick. So let's just say, for an example, you have A, B, C, and D. Normally, A is the one that's for free. Everybody picks the A. Then you have B, C, D, and depending on which community, what they charge, it could be 3,000, 10,000, whatever it is, right? So now let's just say if you pick elevation B, because you're pretty much limited to what you can pick, because according to HOA guidelines or the master plan community, you can't have one exactly side by side or one in front of you. Also, depending on the model too as well, so you have to keep that in mind. But let's just say all the moons and the stars line up, you do find that you do like the model, right? And you have the base price, you find a lot, you have a lot premium, then the elevation that you like, they're going to charge you for the one that you like. Now you have those 3 costs. The next step here is then we would go down and take a look at the structural items. Some builders will be limited to what structural items that you can pick and choose from. Then you would go through that list. You would go through the whole breakdown. At that point, you would have the total cost. Then you would go to contract, okay? Now, one of the things that you probably need to do is find out and ask this question, is to ask that agent, what is the threshold here in this community that a consumer will spend before it doesn't appraise. Some communities will only do 10% or 15%. Let's just say it's 10% of the base price. So if you're buying a home for 200 and the percentage is only 10%, so that means you can only spend 20,000 at the design studio. So the total price would be 220. The next question you would ask, what is the appraisal value around this area? Because there's so many compensating factors that you need to take a look at. So now, when I say the percentage of 10%, right, of as far as the threshold, now what's included in that? This is where you need to find out. It's the structural items, right? Structural items are considered structural and elevation, okay? So you may have to ask these questions. So now let's just say all the structural items you spent 10 grand. So now if you go to the design studio, that means you can only spend $10,000 at the design studio. Anything above that, the builder may charge you 50%, right, down payment in addition to that. So these are the things that you have to watch out for. But I can get more into that in different videos, so I don't want to get into that right now. Definitely want to answer some of these questions. We are into this video now for 36 minutes. Let's see, I'm trying to find a good question here. Do you want to put enough down so you can avoid the mortgage insurance? And want to make sure the house is not too much of your income. Let's talk about putting money down on a home. It really depends on your financial situation. What I do is, if I was a buyer, I'd speak to a lender and find out what type of loans you can actually be approved for. Then run the scenarios at 3%, 5% down. And also if you did FHA at 3.5% down, and see what the mortgage insurance premium is. Everything is going to be based upon your credit score and also your debt to income ratio. Then you just take a look at the numbers, right, and see what makes sense. And that's the best way to do it. Sometimes it's not worth it to put more money down, because then you have to take a look at your whole financial situation, and you got to take a look how long you're going to live in that property. And that also goes with buy down too as well. So what I mean by buy down is, let's just say you are getting a 3.5% interest rate, but it's going to cost you $10,000 more to buy down to 3%, but you're only saving $100 a month. So basically you take 100 and you divide that by, right, $10,000, right, because that's what your buy down cost is. Then that's going to tell you how many months you have to stay in that home just to break even. So if it takes you, 100 months, the question is, are you going to live in that property for 100 months? Right? And if you're not going to live in 100 months, then it's probably not worth the buy down at that time. But if this is a home that you're probably going to stay past 100 months, then at that point, you probably want to do the buy down. So you can pay it up front, right, as a lump sum, or you can pay it on the back end. Now, if you stay in a home and you pay it on the back end, you're going to end up paying it more money in the long run. Because believe it or not, let's just say if you buy a $300,000 home, right? For 360 months, by the time you're done paying it, it's going to be like $620,000. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? I want to cash out. Got like $400,000 profit right now, but they won't let me cash out of my debt to income ratio on paper. Only makes minimum wage. Not really understanding this question. When you say I got like a $400 profit, are you talking about you have stocks, 400,000? I'm not understanding your question, so I do apologize. Or you have a home that has 400,000. Okay, so it sounds like you're trying to refinance and cash out. Well, here's the thing. If you have 400,000, right, you're absolutely right to take a look at your debt to income ratio. And normally banks won't cash you out 100%. Some lenders will only do 75% or 65%. But let's just say you own the home free and clear, and you have $400,000 of equity. They're not going to refinance you the whole $400,000. They would never do that. And the reason why is because the banks need some cushion just in case if you default, they don't want to be stuck with a profit. Stuck with a house. What they want to do is hurry up and liquidate that and get their money back out of the deal. So let's just say you can only refinance 65%. So 65% is what? 120, 130, 260. So the most you can get out is 260,000. But now, yes, you are absolutely correct. Now you would have to be qualified with your debt to income ratio at that price point. The other thing that you can do is get paid more money, or what you could do is just sell the home and just go rent another home if you wanted to. Now, if you're planning on buying another home, that's another question that you would have to take a look at is what's out in your marketplace and what you want and how much does it cost. So if you want something at 500,000, but you know you're going to put $400,000 down, but you already know that you'd be qualified for $100,000, then it would actually make sense. Okay. Now, also the other thing I want to mention is in this state, let's just say for this example, you're making 400,000. You would have to live in the property for 2 out of the 5 years to not pay the capital gains. For a single man, is 250. For a married couple, it would be 500,000. Also, let's just say you made 400,000. One thing that you may want to consider if you had to pay the capital gains, why not do a 1031 exchange? What is a 1031 exchange? You're deferring the taxes by taking the money of the profits that you're making, leveraging that, and rolling it over into your next property. I should probably talk about a 1031 exchange because a lot of people or a lot of investors will utilize a 1031 exchange. And to do a 1031 exchange, it doesn't cost you that much money to do a 1031 exchange. A lot of investors that have multifamilies will do a 1031 exchange. Got my license for Georgia and failed at the selling part. Didn't realize how hard it was. I commend you. Wanted to get it out. Oh, well, thank you so much. No, it is very hard work. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy for me when I first started. Look, when I went to a small brokerage, this broker told me, he said, hey, look, if you can get through this, weather the storm, when the market is good, you're going to be hot. Now, what it really does take, hard work. My first year, all I did was go door to door, do a bunch of open houses, because what a lot of people don't realize, and I'm going to tell you this story here, we have so many agents that come in and become a realtor out here in Las Vegas, become a licensed real estate agent, and within 90 days, they quit because it's not easy. People don't understand that becoming a real estate agent, you're pretty much running a business, okay? And if you don't have business coming in, you're pretty much starving. The average agent out here will do probably about less than 4 deals a year, okay? Now, there is a 250 top agents out here, and we all pretty much know each other because we always do business with each other. But I guess the more of the story is, yes, it is hard work, but let me just tell you the story real quick. So I went door to door, did a lot of open houses. And the reason why you have to start off that way is because coming into this business, if you don't have money to spend, right, you need some money to make some money, right? And the people that do make the money, right, when you first get started, you make a couple dollars here and there. A lot of people use that money to, pay for their daily expenses. So you have to make enough money and also put money aside, right? And take that investment and dump it back into your business, right? Then you get a little bit bigger. Then you put more money back in. Then you put more money back in. So basically, this business is all about lead generation, okay? It's about how many leads are coming in. So let me give you an idea. Now, I'm blessed, okay? And I'm going to say that. And I do appreciate everything I have, and I would never take anything for granted. We generate over about almost 600 leads every single month. That's hard to do. It's not easy. But yes, does it cost me money every single month? Yes, it does. I mean, just this carrying cost just for this office alone, right? I don't own this office, right? It costs me $1,200 a month. This is like more than my mortgage. I mean, look how small this is, right? It's just crazy. But it's part of doing business. Obviously, we can write this thing off too as well. But, it's just hard work. It's not easy, but it can be done. And I do appreciate you mentioning this, putting this in the comments, Ray. I think it was Ray that said that, right? I'm not too sure who said that now. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, love your videos, Chuckit. In order to buy a house in Las Vegas, $15,000 down and a 650 credit score coming from Cali, is it possible to qualify for a house at 500? If you're gonna get qualified for 500, let's start off with that. It comes down to your debt to income ratio, how much money you make. Okay. Now, as far as the down payment is not going to be enough because it doesn't meet FHA guidelines. If you went FHA, right, FHA only allows you to be approved for a certain dollar amount, so you would have to come out with more money. So also depending on the type of loan too as well, and also the guidelines. I'm not saying that you won't be qualified, but also you're going to have to take a look at your debt to income ratio. The best thing to do is actually contact a lender. And as far as the credit score, certain type of loan programs will require a higher credit score. The lower it is, they're going to ding you and whack you more with the higher interest rate. Now, sometimes when you're in that situation, you're at that threshold, then you may want to wait and have a lender that specializes in rapid rescoring, and they have a system that they can send you through a credit simulator. That lender should be able to determine how long it would take you to be approved for the amount of money that you're looking for, and they should be able to tell you exactly what needs to be done. And also, if your credit needs to be fixed so that you can boost up your credit to do a rapid rescore, that's probably what I would take a look at. Will you be able to do a place in McDonald Highlands? I've done a couple in McDonald Highlands. Check on the playlist. Yeah, you can definitely put a lot of time into a deal and nobody buys, yes. However, that's why when it comes to real estate, you really have to screen your clients really well. Dude, my LA condo is worth $950,000. That's crazy, dude. I have $650,000 in equity. I have 31 years on the job and can retire. Should I do a 1031 exchange to do an Airbnb? Well, that's a good question. I can't answer that question because it depends on your situation. If it was me, okay, I would definitely cash out probably on that property up to $500,000, not pay the capital gains, but obviously you're gonna have to be married, but also keep some of the equity into that property, and also just probably do the Airbnb. But also you need to make sure that whatever your mortgage is going to be at that point, the Airbnb is going to cover that, and also you are going to make a profit, because you can definitely take $500,000, sit that on the side, and a deal comes through. You definitely want to have capital. So that's one thing that I've learned about real estate. Real estate is such a hard asset. It's actually hard to get rid of, especially when there's a downturn. If you're looking to liquidate to get money, it's not like paper stocks. You know what I'm saying? With paper stocks, you can just jump in and jump out whenever you need to. But when it comes to real estate, if you are just a speculated buyer and you do have equity, the market tanks, it's very hard to get your money out. Now you're chasing the market. Then you can lose a lot of money into the deal. That's why I say if you're going to invest in real estate, make sure you are a buy and hold type of investor. So like all the properties that we have, my intentions are never to sell it. Now, I've sold sometimes where I'm just flipping paper, and let me give you this another story. So I bought this a short sale once, and some vagrants got inside the property before I was going to close, and pretty much caught half of the house on fire. I went back and renegotiated on the short sale, and I still got a great deal on this home, and I got offered, I think, almost like 50% of what I paid for it. And as soon as I closed, I think it was probably like a couple of months later, I just said, hey, you know what? I'll just sell it, because I didn't want to go through the whole process of rehabbing it, pulling in all the permits, especially when the home was on fire. It was a little bit too out of my scope at that time. So I just flipped paper, and I made some really good money on that deal. But yeah, my intentions are definitely Um, just all buy and holds. It's all about the cash flow, because cash is king. Because money is really not really money. Money is just basically just chips for you to get more money. Real wealth and real money to me is actually gold, which is God's money. But if you take a look at all the people that got real money, they have assets. Money is just a tool to accumulate more assets. And it's great when you take money to utilize money to leverage it out so that way you can make more money. And you got to play the game. And that's all this is. It's just a game. Let's see here. Brand new home selling for $1.1 million, however, on the market for 275 days. What would be a reasonable offer? BlackRock, Henderson. I tell you what, this is what you need to do. If it's been on the market for 277 days, that means number one, it's overpriced. Number two, I would take a look at see what the seller actually bought the property for. So take a look at the tax records, right? Take a look at the old history. Find out who the owner is. Is it an LLC or is it privately owned? If it is an LLC or a corporation, that means they're probably an investor themselves. But if it's privately owned, then that tells you that you may have the leverage, okay? And what I mean by that is normally people that have properties at this magnitude shouldn't have their properties under their name unless they are a sophisticated buyer. Number one, definitely take a look at the days on the market. What's the average days in the market within that neighborhood? Take a look at the price per square foot. What homes sold in that neighborhood as far as price per square foot. Take a look at the conditions of the home. Now the next question that you're going to have to ask yourself, are you buying this as an investment property to flip it? If you're going to buy it to flip it, what type of returns are you going to make? If you're looking for a 20% return, then you already know you're going to have to ask for a 20% discount, not including closing costs. Closing costs is another about 6%. So now you got to ask for 26%. Now you got to figure out what do you got to do to flip this home to sell it quick within 30 days. What are the conditions of the homes in the neighborhood? What is the style in the neighborhood? So now you take a look at the property, and if you know you need to put another 20%, then you know you got to ask for what? 46% of a discount to make it happen. So it just depends on what you're looking to do. Now, if you're just looking to just get into the home for yourself, then at that point, the numbers may be a little bit different. Real estate is all case-by-case basis. There's never one correct answer. And also what you can do is contact that listing agent and actually probe that listing agent. Now, the listing agent has an ethic, a responsibility, and a duty to represent their clients. Now, you should have a strong agent to help you negotiate the deal, but they should be able to call that agent to find out exactly what's going on. My last deal I did was property's worth 1.5 million. I sat on the market for something like this. It was 300 something days. Unfortunately, I knew the seller's position and I took advantage of the situation. I can't tell you what that situation was. And also the agent kind of gave me more information that I needed to know. Unfortunately, they had to sell, and I took advantage of that situation. But at the end of the day, I don't represent the seller. I represent you as a buyer. We were able to obtain this property for $1 million. Got it appraised at $1.5 million. However, I asked my clients, let's sell the property. He said no. That's the shitty part. For me, anyway. Let's get another question here. Okay, let's see here. Can you explain the benefits and disadvantages of lease option? That's a good question. I should make another video on lease options. A lot of people get confused between lease options, owner will carry. Okay, let's start off with owner will carry. Owner will carry basically means that the owner technically owns the property free and clear, but instead of getting a loan from the bank to purchase the property because you don't have good credit, you would actually get a loan from the owner. So basically you would go on title, but they hold the deed of trust. But you're on the deed, right? But the deed of trust is a security instrument saying that if you don't pay us, then we foreclose on your home, we take it back, okay? Now, lease options. Now, with lease options, basically you're just signing a form, I'm putting this much down, I'm leasing your property for $1,000, and it depends how it's spelled out. Now, on the lease option, you can spell it out where $200 will go towards the principal, right? But now, you may have 2 years to refinance or go get a loan to buy that owner out of that property, okay? But I would never suggest that, because here's the thing, a lot of people want to own a home right away, but let's just say if you have a credit score like 620 but you're not qualified yet, but a lot of these lease options, they want you to put money down, but then you have an agreement that you're going to buy the home for 200,000. The question is, what happens if the market tanks and you put all this money down? Then at that point you lost out. You're better off just renting a home and just start stacking your money, but speak to a lender and find out what you could be qualified for or what needs to be fixed as far as your credit. They should be able to send you through a credit simulator and also tell you how long it's going to take, how much you'd be qualified for, and what the guidelines are. Then you would take that money and put it down and actually buy a home through traditional banking. Because a lot of these investors, what they will do is they'll do a lease option where the home is only worth $200,000, they'll do a lease option for $225,000, and you have a balloon payment in 2 years. And the reason why people do this is because they want to get into a home right now, but they're going to have to fix their credit. The problem is sometimes people don't fix their credit, then they lost all their deposits. Now, within 2 years, if you did fix your credit, the question is, if the market has only gone up 5% this year, and you have an agreement for 220,000 or 225,000, that tells me if it only goes up 5% each year, you would have to have the property for another only your balloon payment is only 2 years. So to me, it's just not worth it. You're better off just working with an agent or a lender that can help you out of your situation. Don't get too excited to get into the deal. To me, it's just not worth it. Oh, you want to send me some referrals? Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You know, the other thing is that we're going to do is we're creating this year a referral basis for agents throughout the country. So we're all going to network together. Also, I'm creating another site too as well, as far as builders, allows builders to network. And if you want to showcase your property, we'll definitely fly out to your area and showcase your property. Now, the other thing, let's talk about lease options. Also, normally with these lease options, what happens is the owner doesn't own the property free and clear. The bank owns the property, and they're also making a payment to that as well. So I guess the question is, you have to take a look at this. What happens if you've been making your payments consistently to the owner of the property, but they didn't pay their mortgage? Now the bank is foreclosing. Then what happens? So now you're tied up into this litigation. So the question is it really worth it? For me, I just want to go into that type of deal. But I would definitely do an owner will carry. But also, if you do an owner will carry, make sure they own the property free and clear. Okay? And now let's do on the flip side. If you are an investor and you do an owner will carry, one of the things that I would do is have a third-party company as an escrow company that collects all the fees. And one of the agreements that I would have in there is that when you make a payment, taxes, insurance is included, right? Taxes, insurance, the principal, right? And also the HOAs. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and also the HOAs. But with this state, because there's a voluntary lien with taxes, there's a voluntary lien with sewage and also the trash, I would include all that into a payment. And the reason why is because I want to make sure that all that stuff is getting paid for, because if I'm relying on the buyer, right, to pay that every month, and let's just say 1 or 2 years go by and I find out that later on it wasn't paid, you know, the trash, the county could actually file a lien against your property. Even the property taxes too as well. You don't want to lose the property for something like that. And you want to make sure you're always on first lien position. But it's almost about 6 o'clock, so I gotta get going, guys. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. We just hit what, 107,000 subscribers. That is a lot of subscribers, and I say this all the time. I'm very blessed, and I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. And this channel would not be where it's at unless you guys subscribe to this channel. You know, for all the thumbs up too as well. If you guys give me a thumbs up on these videos that I post, that really helps with the algorithm, and it really pushes the videos to the top, and it exposes you know, the channel to the world, and it brings more people out here to Las Vegas, believe it or not, because there's a lot of people that watch this channel, and one of the comments that I always get is they never believe that Vegas is the way it is, and they never expected to come out here to Las Vegas until they started watching this channel. And also, the more likes that I do get, it motivates me to go out and do more video tours. And tomorrow, I think I'm going to do another video tour by Woodside Homes. I think I'm going to do a townhome this time. The other thing is I got to do is we got to do some more video tours on some high rises, right? I've been getting a lot of requests on high rises, so I'm definitely going to do some video tours on high rises. But other than that, guys, hey, I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'll try to do another video here, probably another week or so, maybe after the New Year. So if I don't get with you guys, just want to say Happy New Year's, and I want you guys to have a blessed day. So, all right, guys,